I don't want to spread rumors, but I can say this as a fairly easy thing to see. Some thief from India called Adani cannot arrive in Kenya and all of a sudden take over things. Adani is the face of a cartel that includes top leadership in Kenyan politics. It is not about Adani. You saw the case of a similar thief in South Africa. It's a cartel that... what the Guptas did in South Africa is what Adani is trying to do here. But what to ask Ruto is if predecessors to him, some of whom, most of whom also had appetite for money, did not pound the family silver to the end, like he's doing, what gives him the moral authority to think that he can be a better thief than those who came before him?
Yes, your name and media house, kindly.
Last.
Yeah.
I have two questions. What can you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how can you rate this regime? And maybe going forward, can we expect to see this team working together?
F for failure. And you are asking about this team? Yes, let Dr. Mukhisa emphasize that about the team.
You know, there is a national failing in Kenya that if a few people offer leadership on critical matters, the rest of us go into retirement and let them do it for us. For a long time, Kenyans have asked Raila to carry the burdens for them, ask the questions on their behalf. And when Raila crosses over, they start feeling that it's a desert. Similarly, when Gen Z started showing that there's still the blood of national pride in a young generation in this country, a lot of others stepped back and said, let the Gen Zs take it. But what message are we saying? We share responsibility for the tomorrow of this country. We have shared experience and pride about service in public life, where we have served with integrity, without letting greed override us. And we say, we are called upon to start renewing our commitment and offer dutiful service to Kenya. We are part of a progressive effort that must reclaim our country. We are just starting now the re-engagement. You are not only going to see us together, you're going to see us with many more people who share the solid commitment and patriotic duty for a clean, decent Kenya, that's not the laughing stock of Africa, but the pride that it once was.
Maybe a vote of thanks by one or two of the youths accompanying us.
Yes, we are grateful to our leaders who have come together to speak on the issues that hurt the country. And we are firmly behind them as the youth of this nation, because we want leadership that is informed by the love for this country and the future of this country. So as the youth of this country, we are solidly behind them and affirming that we are going to stand behind every leader who stands for integrity, who stands for accountability, and who stands for responsibility for anyone who is in office. Thank you.
So that's the end.
Thank you very much. That's the end of our presser today. We thank you so much for making time to come and listen to the State of the Nation address. Asanteni sana.
I had a phone.
We will share the statement for your media houses. Thank you.
It's about our future, the future of every child born in this country, whose dreams are now mortgaged to service a debt they had not part in creating. Oda's debt is debt that is incurred not for the benefit of the people, but to oppress them. And what have we seen? We are borrowing not to build schools, hospitals, or infrastructure that lift the nation. We are borrowing to pay other loans. A vicious cycle that enriches foreign lenders while impoverishing the people of Kenya. What development can arise from such an arrangement? What prosperity can come from a system that prioritizes debt repayment over the welfare of its citizens? This borrowing, dear patriots, is not only reckless but unconstitutional. Article 201 of our Constitution says out of the principles of public finance, openness, accountability, and assurance that public debt shall only be incurred in a manner that ensures future generations are not saddled with untenable burdens. Yet here we are, our sovereignty compromised by those who wield the pen of fiscal irresponsibility. We have become beggars in our own country. Behold to international financiers whose interests lie not in the development of Kenya, but in the perpetuation of our financial dependency. Let's examine this closely. Our nation may borrow to build highways that connect its people, ports that enable trade, and power grids that illuminate its future. But to borrow simply to repay existing loans, this is madness, a betrayal of the highest order. This is not the borrowing of a nation intent on development. It's the borrowing of a regime intent on its own survival. The funds are not being used to uplift the people, but to stave off the inevitable collapse that comes when greed and mismanagement become the order of the day. And let's not forget the recent Eurobond, issued at a punitive interest rate of 10.37%. What does this tell us about how the world views Kenya? We are no longer seen as a nation of hope, but as a nation of risk, a place where lenders demand exorbitant returns because they doubt our ability to repay. And don't you forget, the Eurobond was borrowed at a rate higher than the interest on the mature debt that we were offloading. We borrowed more expensive money to pay for cheaper money. That is kicking the can down the road for the next generation to suffer. This is the price of fiscal irresponsibility, and it's a price that will be paid not by those in power, but the mwananchi, the ordinary Kenyan, who wakes up every morning to eke out a living, only to find that the hard-earned money is being used to service debts that never benefited them and they never agreed to. Consider this. 54% of our revenue is now funneled into debt repayment. Over half of our national income is being siphoned away, leaving us with mere scraps to address the pressing needs of this nation. Schools are collapsing, hospitals are underfunded, infrastructure projects have ground to a halt, not because we lack the resources, but because those resources have been squandered. The dreams of development have been traded for the nightmare of austerity, all in the name of servicing a debt that should never have been incurred in the first place. What we are witnessing is a form of modern day colonization, not by foreign powers with guns and flags, but by faceless financiers and shadowy intermediaries. We are being colonized by debt. Our sovereignty, our very ability to determine our own future is being sold off piecemeal in the form of bonds, loans, and financial obligations that do nothing but enrich those who hold them. But this is not the Kenyan way. Our forefathers fought, bled, and died for the right to self-determination. They did not fight for us to be reduced to a status of financial serfs, chained to the whims of leaders whose only interest in Kenya is how much profit they can extract for themselves. We, the people, must rise and declare this, that it's enough. Enough is enough. We must demand transparency in our public finances. We must demand that every shilling borrowed be accounted for, and that it be used for the public good, not to line the pockets of the powerful. We must demand that our leaders stop mortgaging our future and start investing in it. And above all, we must demand that the Constitution be upheld, that borrowing for debt repayment be stopped, and that public resources be used to develop the nation, not to enrich a select few. Fellow Kenyans, the hour is late, but it's not too late. We can still turn the tide. We can still reclaim our nation from the grip of debt and fiscal irresponsibility. But to do that, we must act. We must speak with one voice, stand as one people, demand that our leaders serve the people, not their personal interests. Let us rise not in fear but in hope. The hope that comes from knowing that we are the masters of our own destiny. Let us rise in the spirit of our ancestors who fought for the freedom we enjoy today. And let us rise with a fierce determination that we will not allow this nation to be sold off, one bond at a time, to the highest bidder. This, fellow Kenyans, is our time for action. It is our moment. Let us seize it with both hands and forge a future where Kenya is not beholden to foreign creditors, but stands proud and free, a nation of prosperity, justice, and hope. Thank you, my colleague. You can